Yeah, pause YouTube. 6-Foot Hacks here. Happy guys today, week 7 of the TBU. Now I apologize that this is not live narrated and that it is post commentated. Long story short, had a lot of stuff going on during this match, was really not in a good mood, and yeah, that's not to say that this was a bad battle and I played bad. No, this was actually a really good and insanely close match against Rizzy Pow. His channel link and stuff will be down in the description. He is the coach of the Phoenix Sunfloras, if I'm not mistaken. So we do have a bit of a tough matchup going into this week's battle. Of course, if you may have missed my team analysis video, link to that should be down in the description as well for you guys to go check out if you're wondering what I am bringing and what I expected Rizz to bring. Of course, if you guys do enjoy the battle, make sure to hammer arm that like button down below and let me know what you think about this matchup, what you think about our team, and what you think the Durham Druddigons are going to be doing next week. I don't know, we have one final week before playoffs, which is next week, which is kind of crazy. So yeah, pretty excited for that. But going into this match, Rizz ended up bringing 5 of the 6 Pokemon I thought he would bring. I didn't expect him to bring Pangoro. I thought he would bring Mega Scizor, but I mean Pangoro over Mega Scizor is fine because I can still deal with Pangoro and I still could have dealt with Mega Scizor accordingly. So either or, not that big of an issue. Nidoking, humongous problem because this thing just drops me on my neck, so I definitely have to watch out for that. Luckily though, he doesn't have any hazard control, which is really good, so as soon as I get on my rocks, they will be here to stay for the match. Tornadus T could be a humongous problem depending on the set it is. Mimikyu could maybe be an issue if it gets late game and I've lost my checks to it, so I have to watch out for that. But with all that being said, guys, let's go ahead and get into this battle. Actually, yeah, Snorlax also could maybe be a problem, but because he didn't have any hazard removal, I decided to lead off with my Registeel because I just want to get on my rocks turn 1 so I can have an immediate advantage in this match, as he's going to be leading off with his Tornadus Therian. Unfortunately, it turns out that Tornadus T actually has the taunt, which is a little bit annoying because I was really hoping that he wouldn't have that and he would be an Assault Vest variant. That way he could be a little bit easier for me to deal with. And then it turns out that he's got U-turn, which means he probably doesn't have Life Orb, especially because he doesn't take Life Orb damage this turn. So I'm thinking that he could either be leftovers or maybe like a Rock Weakening Berry for my Landorus Therian, which my game plan going into this match was to hopefully get up screens with Pikumuku and then set up Landorus to potentially sweep a mid to late game. So I'm able to Seismic Toss the incoming Snorlax, getting off a little bit of chip damage. Don't really want to stay in here and take a possible Earthquake, so I decided to hard switch directly into my Landorus, which is really nice because this means I can get the Intimidate off and I can kind of scout the set of the Snorlax as he actually goes straight for the Curse. Now the fact that he went straight for Curse has me thinking, okay, he probably is in Rest Talk because his only offensive move will be Body Slam and I still have my Mismagius. So because he is at neutral attack, thanks to my Intimidate, I'm going to go ahead and just switch directly into my Infernape, expecting him to maybe want to go for a Body Slam or go for the Ice Punch, as he does go for it here. Doesn't do entirely too much damage, as I will be able to chip him down thanks to the Rocky Helmet. He now knows that I am a defensive Infernape as opposed to an offensive one, which is some good information for him to know because he probably knows that I can't do anything to his Uxie, which unfortunately I cannot. But my best play was to definitely just go for the Will-O-Wisp. There's nothing on Rizz's team that really appreciates getting status. If this was toxic, it would have been absolutely amazing for the Uxie, but the burn is more than good enough because I will be nullifying its lefty's recovery. Now, I don't have U-turn and I don't want to stay in here and take a Psychic, so I'm going to hard switch directly into my Registeel. Plus, I was very positive that he was either going to go for a Psychic or go for his Stealth Rocks, as he does end up going straight for his Rocks. This is my perfect chance to get on my own Stealth Rocks, which is going to be really good because I can kind of even out the playing field and make things a little bit back on an even playing field for us. I don't know what I was trying to say there, but yeah, we're in a pretty good spot right now. We managed to get our Rocks. Unfortunately though, he does end up getting a free switch into this Nidoking. Luckily though, if you guys saw the team analysis video, we do have a kind of check or counter to this Nidoking, which is our Mismagius. Now yes, Nidoking does get access to Shadow Ball, but there's a chance he's not going to go straight for the Shadow Ball. He's either going to go for the Fire move or go for the Earth Power, which is why I end up comfortably switching directly into my Mismagius. But it turns out that he has the Toxic Spikes, and that is actually really annoying, mainly just for Pikumuku and definitely Infernape. It's just mainly annoying for those two mons, just because I need Infernape to check the Curslax, and Pyukumuku is just really nice to kind of check this Nidoking by switching into it. I can also sack it off to something to do innards out damage back to it, and I need to find some way to hopefully get on my dual screens as I go for a double wisp, thinking that he would switch out, thinking that he still had use for this Nidoking, because if he lets this Nidoking get weakened or knocked out, my Jolteon just comes in and I'm free to spam Thunderbolt and Volt Switch. So after taking the second Shadow Ball, I know that after a Pain Split, I will definitely be able to live another one. So if anything, I'm going to be able to definitely start wearing down this Nidoking. That way my team can have an easier time breaking through it and revenge killing it, which is really nice because that alleviates some of the pressure that Nidoking applies in this matchup. So I go for a Shadow Ball, get a little lucky here, and I do end up getting a Spadef Drop. That Spadef Drop is going to be very useful because now I can definitely knock him out with the next Shadow Ball. I was actually very close to going for the Pain Split because I thought that maybe he still wanted to save this Nidoking, so he would try to switch into his Snorlax or his Tornadus. That way I could Pain Split them on the switch in, but no, I decided to just be aggressive in the end and go for the Shadow Ball, because even if he does switch into Tornadus, I get off some damage with Shadow Ball, and if he does bring in the Snorlax, I can just Pain Split him the following turn and get off a huge amount of damage and probably be brought back up to full HP. So in comes the Tornadus T. He reveals to have the hidden power Ice, which is interesting. So he's got Taunt, U-Turn, and HP Ice, which means his final move has to be Hurricane, potentially Air Slash, which also means he can't touch my Registeel, which is kind of interesting. So that may come to play a role later in this match, as I cannot get a free switch into my Jolteon. I have free liberty to just click Modest Stabbed Volt Switch on whatever Rizz wants to bring in. As I get off a decent little chunk of damage on the Snorlax, I'm gonna go ahead and Volt Switch directly on out back into my Infernape, because this is my best switch into the Snorlax, especially because he does unfortunately have the Ice Punch, which means his last moves may be Earthquake Body Slam or Crunch Body Slam, or even Facade could be something that he's running to cover the burn from my Miss Mages. So either way, I end up making a really bad play here. Like, Infernape does 100% deal with Snorlax, but because I had distractions going on during this match, I end up making a really bad play. I should have not gone for the low kick. I definitely should have gone for the slack off, because there was no reason for him to have left in Snorlax. Like, him switching directly into Uxie was by far his best play, but because I didn't fully think on my turn, I went straight for the low kick. Definitely should have gone for the slack off there, because now my Infernape is unfortunately at very low HP, and I'm fearing him going for the potential Psychic. So I switch into my Pyukumuku, which this in itself was, I guess, kind of a questionable play. I was really hoping that he would try and go for the Psychic. Then this way I could maybe get up a Reflect, then try and get up my Light Screen, and then maybe break his team down a bit for my Landers to potentially be able to set up and sweep, and maybe open up gaps for something else to finish off the game. So he ends up U-turning back into a Snorlax, which turns out to have the Substitute, which I was not expecting at all. I debated on whether or not I should have gone for a Reflect here, because if I did go for the Reflect here, he would have been behind a sub, then he probably would have cursed this turn as I baton passed into my Infernape. I guess in that scenario, I would be behind a Reflect, and even at +1, Earthquake shouldn't knock me out if he has it, but I'm thinking that his final move is going to be the Body Slam, so I try to go for the Slack Off here, knowing that I can easily live a Body Slam after getting off the Slack Off. Unfortunately, he has the Earthquake, which means he doesn't have Body Slam, and this was another just really questionable play on my part. The fact that he had sub should have told me that his only other offensive move wasn't going to be Body Slam. Like, he needed to have Earthquake to still be able to touch my Registeel if it came down to it. And unfortunately, I lose the best answer I have to this Snorlax, and now the only thing that can come in and break a sub is unfortunately my Jolteon. So I have to basically go for the Thunderbolt. I was very positive that he would go for the Ice Punch, expecting me to maybe want to try and Volt Switch into Landers So that was another reason why I decided just T-Bolt. Plus, I don't think Volt Switch would have broken the sub. If I was Magnet, I might have broken the sub, but I'm actually Expert Belted, unfortunately. So I have to stay in here, go for another Thunderbolt, and now the only thing that I had to outspeed and pressure that Tornadus is now gone. And things are just not looking good for me in this battle. This matchup already was just insanely tough for us, and now things are just looking even worse. So I bring in Landorus. I'm gonna go straight for the Stone Edge because I do not want to risk him trying to save this Snorlax and try to switch into his Tornadus, thinking I would go straight for the Earthquake. But the fact that he did stay in has me thinking that he most likely is just gonna sack things off to this Landorus, so I can't set up. So as he brings in the Uxie, I'm thinking I need to set up. I need to Rock Polish and Sword Zant and hope that this Uxie just has nothing that he can do to me. Unfortunately, he has the Foul Play, which means if I Sword Zant here, he's gonna be doing a whole lot of damage to me. So I'm gonna try and switch out here into my Registeel, expecting him to want to go for the Foul Play. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, at this point I'm thinking I don't know how I can win. I don't know what I can do. He's got Uxie, he's got Pangoro, he's got Tornadus still. Those three Pokemon alone are just such a problem for me to deal with my last three remaining Pokemon, which are Registeel, Landorus, and Pyukumuku, if I'm not mistaken. So he's gonna go for the U-turn here, telling me that he probably doesn't have anything to touch my Registeel, as he makes a humongous misplay here. So I was very positive that he wasn't gonna stay in. Even if he had Psychic, he could have gone for it, but that wouldn't have done any damage to me, which means I still could have gone for the Thunder Wave again this turn and caught this Pangoro on the switch in. And the fact that I'm able to paralyze this Pangoro means that I probably have a chance to win this game. So I'm going to switch into my Pyukumuku, which was just basically death fodder. Funny enough, his Pangoro doesn't knock out my Pyukumuku at above 50% HP unless he's choice banded, and because he knocked me out after running the calc, I know he's banded, so I'm gonna bring in my Landorus. I was very close to trying and go for a setup here, but because he still has that Pyukumuku, there is a chance that two Shadow Sneaks may knock me out if he's Life Orb, or I'm gonna have to break the disguise, then he can Shadow Claw me, and then he's gonna knock me out with the Shadow Sneak. So I go straight for the Earthquake. Because he left in Snorlax earlier, I was very positive he would leave in Pangoro, so I'm able to knock that out. As in comes the Tornadus, I'm going to switch into my Registeel, which is my only switch into this thing, and because I know he has the HP Ice, I have to switch. I was thinking about staying in. If I had stayed in there, I definitely would have gone for the Continental Crush, although that means it would have been wasted on the incoming Mimikyu here. So I guess me switching out into my Registeel really wasn't too bad, as he does end up U-turning back into the Mimikyu, which turns out to have the leftovers. And the fact that he had leftovers should have told me that he was going to be more of a bulky set and not a setup set, as I foolishly fall for the taunt, trying to go for the Thunder Wave, and my brain was screaming, Iron Head, Iron Head, you don't have to T-Wave, Iron Head, and break this thing's disguise. But maybe me going for Thunder Wave wasn't too bad of a play, because he's actually going to go for the Infestation this turn. Now, if I had gone for the Iron Head instead of the Thunder Wave, he probably would have gone for the Will-O-Wisp this turn instead of going for the Infestation. So I don't know if that really would have changed too many outcomes of this match, but I am able to get a essential free switch into my Landorus here, as he's gonna go for the Shadow Claw. Turns out that he's a very speedy bulky set, which was so annoying, because if my Landorus had been faster than his Mimikyu, I might have been able to 2-hit KO it, depending on if he had Shadow Sneak or not. As I break the disguise with the Earthquake, the Infestation, I believe, is unfortunately gonna knock me out, and at this point, my last Pokemon is Registeel. He has this Mimikyu, Tornadus, and Uxie. Guys, things are just not looking good for me at all. So I'm gonna speed up this little portion here with this Mimikyu, because he unfortunately has the Will-O-Wisp, and as soon as I saw Will-O-Wisp, all my hopes of winning this match just kind of disappeared because my Registeel is burned. What am I gonna do with the burned Registeel when he's got 3 Pokemon left? The funny thing is though, I still don't know the final move on that Tornadus. So at this point, I'm kind of thinking worst case scenario, like he may have knockoff, superpower, even heat wave. And that's why I'm thinking that I've lost this match. At this point, I'm just trying to reserve differential so I don't lose by 3. At least maybe a 2-0 would be nice, as I get a crit there with the Iron Head. I'm not sure if that crit mattered. I think depending on rolls, I still would have been able to 2-hit KO this Mimikyu at the amount of HP that it's at. But Registeel is just getting severely worn down as Mimikyu is going to get off one last ditch effort, Shadow Claw. I'm happy that he did not crit me once with Shadow Claw, because that obviously would have really sucked. So down goes the Mimikyu. It is now 1-2, and he can still just easily win with his final 2 Pokemon, because this Tornadus could still just have superpower knockoff or the heat wave. So I'm just gonna stay in here, obviously, because I have no choice, and I go for the Thunder Wave, expecting him to not go for the taunt, just trying to be aggressive to wear down and beat down my Registeel as he reveals to have the Hurricane, and I get off a very, very important Thunder Wave on this Tornadus. The fact that Rizz did not go for the taunt there was a second choke in my opinion, because you guys are going to see what happens, because now I have a chance to win this battle. I know Uxie cannot touch my Registeel, and now I know that this Tornadus cannot touch my Registeel either. So depending on how things go, and if I maybe get a little lucky, actually no, it's not even really luck, because he's got a 25% chance to get paralyzed, and then he's got a 30% chance to miss this Hurricane. Now I don't know how you would add those up, but I'm pretty sure odds of me not getting hit are more in my favor than they are of him actually hitting. So he hits a Hurricane there, as my only real option at this point is just to spam Seismic Toss and hope that Registeel can beat not only this Tornadus, but can also beat that Uxie, which again, I'm very positive Uxie has nothing that he can hit me with. So he's gonna go for a Hurricane, hits 2 Hurricanes in a row with paralysis, I might add, and I'm gonna be able to S-Toss again. Unfortunately, Registeel is just getting really worn down, and of course the Tornadus just barely lives. And if Rizz really wanted to, he could definitely stay in here and try and go for the U-turn to get off that extra little bit of chip damage, but by doing that, he himself risks being paralyzed, so I can then knock him out. And even if he hard switch directly into his Uxie like he does here, I'm still getting off a free Seismic Toss on the incoming Uxie, which is really good, because it looks like I may actually be able to 2-hit KO this Uxie, which means this Uxie is going to be doing 1 less attack on my Registeel, which means I have more HP for that Tornadus, which I need all the HP that my Registeel can have right now. So he's gonna go for the foul play. I'm hoping this doesn't do a lot of damage. Luckily only does like 10 points. As I go for the Seismic Toss, I'm hoping to knock him out, and he lives. He lives on what like had to be 1 HP, and at this point I'm like freaking out. I'm freaking out because I can still win. I can still very well win this battle, because I can live 1 more attack from this Uxie, and it all comes down to whether or not Rizz's Tornadus gets paralyzed. Above that, he still has to potentially hit a Hurricane, and there's a chance that a non-invested HP Ice and U-turn won't knock me out even at 16 HP, I think. So after knocking out the Uxie, Registeel has taken down Mimikyu. He's taken down Uxie, and it literally comes down to this. If the Tornadus gets paralyzed, we win, and he gets fully paralyzed, and Registeel putting the team on his back. Bruno just fighting through the last 3 Pokemon of Rizz and just taking it home for the Durham Druddigons. Guys, you have no idea how crazy this match was while I was having it. Man, good game to Rizz. Like, I thought my match against Trevor was really good. This match was also really, really good. Now, I'm kind of happy and upset about this win. I'm happy because obviously we win. We stay #1 in our division, and if we win next week, we get a bye week 1 of playoffs, which is really awesome. But the thing is that we could very well face Rizz in playoffs depending on how things go. So Rizz could very well get his revenge in playoffs. But for right now, the Durham Druddigons stole that victory from the Phoenix Sunfloras. And ladies and gentlemen, if I'm not mistaken, we are now 7-1 going into week 8. And hopefully we can pull out one final W to lead us off, to lead us into playoffs. And just, yeah, I'm really excited, guys. If you did enjoy the video, make sure to hammer on that like button down below. Let me know what you thought about this battle in the comment section below, guys. 2 videos on the end screen, so make sure to go check those out if you have not seen them already. With all that being said, guys, I will see y'all tomorrow. Later, everybody.
Cause my brain and heart are both tied in the knot, and this hinders me from crying a lot. This causing me to show no emotion. But when I said I cared, I wasn't joking. But I guess it's too late for me to become broken. For now, I'm living with no more pain, tears, or hoping. I'm just coasting. Yeah, I said I'm coasting. No more pain, tears, and hoping. For real.